If you see it, it's already too late. Not because it's fast, not because it's close, because if you can see it, that means it chose to be seen. And that's not something you want to be part of. And that decision was already made before you even realized you were part of it. A trail in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Tuesday, late afternoon, the light already going amber through the redwoods. The shadows starting to merge at the edges of the path. A man in his early 40s, experienced. The kind of hiker who checks weather and tells people where he's going and carries what he needs. He's done this trail 40 times. He knows the switchbacks, knows where the creek crosses, knows the exact spot where the view opens up through the trees and you can see the bay in the distance. He doesn't know he's been followed for the last 20 minutes because there is nothing to hear. No branch, no footstep, no signal at all. Just something heavy enough to kill him, moving with the kind of precision that keeps it exactly where he'll never look. He stops to check his phone. Behind him, something stops too. There's a pattern to it, not random, not instinctive in the way people imagine. It's matching him, not perfectly, but close enough, not step for step, something more precise. When he slows down, it holds. When he speeds up, it adjusts, always maintaining distance, always just far enough to stay unseen, or at least that's how it feels. If he turns suddenly, really suddenly, maybe he'd see it. But people don't do that. They turn the way humans always turn, gradually, predictably, and it's already accounting for that. California has bears, the black bear, widespread, a regular presence in the forests above the coast, an animal people have learned to manage with bear canisters and hanging food bags, and the particular low-grade awareness that comes from knowing something large and omnivorous shares your campground. People know the bear protocol. People practice it. Nobody practices the other protocol, because the other animal doesn't give you a moment to practice anything. Puma concolor, the mountain lion, the puma, the cougar, more names than almost any mammal in the Western Hemisphere, which is itself a clue, a sign of how many different people in how many different places have had to find a word for what was watching them from the tree line. It's not the largest predator in North America. That's the bear. It's not the fastest over distance. That's not how it works. And the fact that it's not how it works is exactly what makes it what it is. It doesn't run you down. It doesn't need to. Most people would call this an ambush. That's not really what it is. This is a moving calculation. It reads your pace, your posture, the exact moments you stop paying attention, and it stays where you will never look. Not by chance, but by constant adjustment. And here's the part most people get wrong. People think they'd feel it, like instinct would kick in early enough. But instinct doesn't work like that here, because nothing is wrong. No sound, no movement, nothing the brain flags as a problem. So the moment never triggers. Not until it's already too late to matter. And here's what that means. Every time he stopped, it froze. Every time he moved, it adjusted. For 20 minutes, without a sound. When it happens, it doesn't feel like an attack. No warning, no sound, no signal, just silence, and then contact. So fast your brain never processes the moment in between. It goes for the back of the neck. This isn't a detail. It's the whole strategy. One precise bite, and it's over. This is what the following was for. This is what the silence was building toward. Not a fight, not a confrontation, a specific mechanical outcome, pursued with patience across 20 minutes of mountain trail. He doesn't hear it coming. Nobody does. It almost never happens. And people think that's what matters. But that's exactly why no one is ready when it does. The real problem isn't the animal. It's where you meet it. That space where forest turns into suburb, where trails begin behind houses, where prey comes closer to people. That space is growing, and it noticed. A wildlife researcher in Colorado has been tracking a single female mountain lion for 3 years. GPS collar, motion sensors, a data set that maps every movement across an 800 square kilometer home range. She pulls up the tracking data on a laptop, and the line it draws is not what you expect. Not random, not wandering. The line follows creek corridors, follows deer trails, follows the edges of development where the habitat fragments and the animals compress into narrower and narrower corridors. She zooms in. The path cuts straight through a residential area, backyards, trails, the space between houses. Timestamp, 4:47 a.m. The runners arrive at 6. She doesn't say anything for a moment, just looks at the screen. Then she zooms in further. The line passes through that same corridor 11 times over 3 years. Different seasons, different months, Once in broad daylight, a Wednesday afternoon in June, the runners never saw her. She saw every one of them. Here's the part that breaks the frame, the part that rewrites everything you thought you understood about where the danger is. Mountain lions have been documented in every western state. That's not a surprise, but they've also been documented in places that don't appear on any mental map of mountain lion habitat. A confirmed sighting in a park in the middle of Tucson, a camera trap in the hills above Los Angeles, triggering on the same animal 17 times over 4 months. A mountain lion found sheltering under a house in a suburb of Sacramento, discovered only when a dog began behaving strangely near the crawl space. It was there for 2 days before anyone knew. The people who lived in that house had walked past the crawl space entrance every morning to get to their cars. There's a point, right before it happens, where something shifts. Not in the environment. In him. A hesitation. Small enough to ignore. Strong enough to register. The kind of feeling people dismiss. The kind you explain away seconds later. He feels it, and almost keeps walking. Almost. The man on the Santa Cruz Trail turns around, not because of a sound. There was no sound. Not because of a feeling exactly, though he'll describe it later as a feeling. The specific prickling awareness of being observed that the human nervous system produces when something old and animal in the brain picks up a signal the conscious mind hasn't processed yet. He turns around, and it's there, 15 meters away, still, watching, and then it moves. Not a full charge. Not yet. One step forward, slow, controlled, close enough now that distance doesn't really matter anymore. Calculating what he does in the next 3 seconds. He knows, somehow, not to run. He doesn't know how he knows this. He'll think about that later too, in the hospital, while they're cleaning the lacerations on his shoulder, where it made contact before he turned, and that single movement forced it to recalculate everything. For a second, nothing happens. That second, that's the dangerous part, because this is where people make the mistake. They think it's over, but it hasn't decided yet. It's still watching, still measuring, still one decision away from finishing what it started. He makes himself large. He raises his arms. He speaks, loudly, in the voice you use when you need something with a nervous system very different from yours, to register that you are not prey, that you are large, that you are present, that you are not going to collapse into the behavior that everything it knows about hunting tells it to expect. The mountain lion watches him for 11 seconds. Then it steps backward. Once, twice, and disappears into the shadow behind the tree. He stands there with his arms raised for a long time after it's gone. He can't hear it leaving. He couldn't hear it following him either. The trail reopens the next morning. The warning sign goes up at the trailhead. The standard notice, yellow and black. Mountain lion activity reported in this area. Hikers read it. Some of them turn back. Most of them continue. Because the trail is familiar. Because they've done it before. Because the sign is a precaution, and precautions are for other people, and the sun is out, and there's cell service for most of the route, and nothing has ever happened on this trail before. Nothing they know about, nothing they saw. He'll replay that moment for the rest of his life. Not the movement, not the distance, the silence. That it was there the entire time. Close enough to end everything. And he never knew. That's the part that stays with you. Not what you saw, what you didn't. Somewhere above that trail right now. Something is moving. Not fast. It doesn't need to. Urgency is for animals that need speed. This one doesn't. It moves through the redwoods, the way it always has, in complete silence, without the forest ever knowing it's there. It pauses at a ridge, looking down at the trail, watching the movement below. It watches. It waits. And when it decides to move, you won't hear it. You won't see it. And if you ever do, that probably means it decided not to stay hidden anymore.